Hi guys, welcome to the love interests get their own game. A Han Yang and Ao story. Excuse me, sorry. An Ao? Ao story? I remember last time I was trying to say Ao's name on stream. Red Sean got a little steamed at me. Told me I was saying it like, ow, I got a cut. Well, they know how to pronounce it better than I do, so I'll just have to take their word for it. Seems wrong, but I'm sure they know better than me. They've done the research, and or might be Japanese. I don't know. Anyway, this was a game submitted for the Yaoi Jam, and this is going to be the first Yaoi Jam game I play on my channel for the 2021 Yaoi Game Jam. Also, did you guys... I hate to do this, but, like... Let's go back to the main menu. Did you guys see how the cute little... How they're jumping around and doing those cute little facial expressions? Okay. This is also the first game... I forgot to, point that out. But this is the first game that I'm doing for the Yaoi Game Jam of this year, so there's gonna be a lot more little demos. Hopefully I can also sort of get caught up and make some more videos because I've sort of been slacking on my videos. I've only been doing like 3 a week instead of 5 a week, so I've been a little bit slacking here. So I'm gonna try to maybe do several of these Yaoi Game Jam videos and sort of get caught back up. So let's just start. I'm so excited to play this because I love Red Sean and their games. So let's begin. On a pleasant spring day in Melbourne, Australia, 2 high school boys who recently started dating sat in a quiet classroom during lunchtime. One was helping the other study for a test, but in truth, he wasn't much help. The older of the two, Han Yang, had already explained how to solve the equations on the page and proceeded to snack on the homemade spring rolls he had prepared that morning. Across from him sat his neighbor-turned-boyfriend, Ao. Ao. Although motivated by the prospects of food, he found his boyfriend's explanation to be less than crystal clear. Not to mention, Hong Yang's infrequent attempts to play footsies under the table were a major distraction for the blue-haired boy. So in this universe, is MC dating... What was his name? Gum? I wonder. Looking up from the page of formidable trigonometry questions, Al's light brown eyes peered up to see his boyfriend with a relaxed smile on his face. Oops. And if you notice that I'm sweating... it's because I just took a shower, so I'm a little bit steamy. It was a hot shower and I got out and it was hot out, so I'm a little bit sweaty. I'm very clean, I'm just sweaty. This annoyed him. Okay, I was doing the deep voice for him, right? What are you smiling about? Holding a spring roll in one hand, the redhead presented the deep-fried food to his partner before speaking. I'm just thinking about how cool you look when you're focused. The flattery also annoyed him. What the F? Snatching the spring roll with his left hand, Ao waved it around in the air as he spoke before biting into it. If you have time to waste staring at me, then help me properly. Han Yang, wearing rose-tinted glasses due to their new relationship, saw Ao's irritated face as a sign of affection, causing the smile on his face to widen further. I am helping. Ao leant back into his seat and crossed his arms. You're not. I can't think with you staring like that. Like what? That. With your stupid smile and your stupid handsome face. Let's not forget, though, he might be handsome, but he's a predator. He didn't take no for an answer, okay? I'm throwing that out there. The redhead's selective hearing only picked up the... I'm never gonna let Hong Yang live that route down with MC. He was creepy, and I'll never forget it. I'm sorry, Red Sean. Hong Yang is creepy. I love him. But he's creepy. The redhead's selective hearing only picked up the words he wanted to hear. You think I'm handsome? Ao snatched another spring roll out of retaliation, which his partner only found endearing. Shut up. As the younger of the two crunched on the spring roll, Hong Yang continued to watch his boyfriend with a look of endearment in his eyes. The two had known each other since childhood, but hadn't really gotten close until the end of primary school when Ao and his mum moved into the house next to Hong Yang's. I can't wait for Redchon to be in the comments like, actually the way that you've been pronouncing Ao in this video is even worse than before. They developed a sort of rivalry between them, being the same age and wanting to win the praise of their parents. But they soon realized they each had their own individual strengths and weaknesses, and although they were much more different than alike, they respected and supported each other over the years. They formed a close bond that couldn't quite be called brothers, but was more than just ordinary friends. A few months ago, they had once again ignited the rivalry between them. The spark being a female classmate named Emily, but through that they both learned their homosexual tendencies. Declaring that they both had feelings for her, the two boys made a bet to see which of them could win her over in the span of a week. The conditions were set and the deal was sealed, but to their surprise, in their attempts to get closer to her, they ended up getting closer to one another instead. Until finally Hong Yang made the first move and stole a kiss from Ao. Shocked at first and a little angry, Ao resisted the feelings that swelled up inside of him, but he couldn't subdue them for long, as the truth of the matter is that the two had long fallen for one another. That was almost 2 months ago. Since then, their relationship has had its ups and downs, but Hong Yang and Ao knew that at the very least they did in fact like one another. Hey! The red-haired male tapped his boyfriend's foot with his own under the table. What? We should go out on a date. What? He repeated himself with more confusion, as much as Ao had wanted to change the topic. Why did it have to change to this? What? Girl, come on. You're dating a hot piece of meat. Go out with it. We've been going out for nearly 2 months now, and in that time we haven't actually gone out anywhere. I think it'd be nice to go out on a real date with you soon. Hong Yang gave Ao a loving smile in an attempt to convince him. Why even dating this guy? He's just... Oh, that's why he's dating him. It's because Hong Yang likes being told no and likes getting, like, put off. And he likes to sort of force himself on people. That's why he's dating Ao. I get it now. I was going to be like, why are you dating him when he isn't being affectionate towards you? But it's like, you don't want the affection. You want to force yourself on them. Redchon is just crying right now. But instead his smile was met with a look of confusion. What are you on about? We go out all the time. What do you mean? What do you mean? Just yesterday we took the dogs for a walk in the park. Last week we went grocery shopping. And before that you came with me to the library to study together. Well, yes, we did do all those things, but they weren't dates. What? What? The two continued to stare at each other with confusion. These events were common occurrences even before they started dating. Hong Yang saw most of these as errands that needed to be done, but all this time, Ao had seen every chance he had to be alone with his boyfriend as a date. Wait a minute, don't tell me. You considered all those times to be dates? The realization hit Hong Yang like one of Cupid's arrows, causing the smile on his face to grow wider than before. F. On the other hand, Ao was embarrassed to realize that all this time, Hong Yang had not felt the same way. He scrambled to justify himself. Isn't it a date when couples go out together? We went out all those times, so they were dates. But it's not like we did anything out of the ordinary. We used to do all those things together even before we started dating. The fact that Hale thought of all the times they spent together doing trivial tasks or completing errands to be romantic dates filled Hong Yang with a sense of warmth and affection. Dang it, you're just too cute sometimes, Ao. The younger male adjusted his glasses, but kept his hands lingering for longer than needed to hide the redness on his face. What the F? Was I the only one thinking we were dating? Reaching across the table, Hong Yang carefully held Ao's hand and lowered it to reveal his partner's face, red as a tomato. I'm sorry, you're right. Every moment I spend with you is special. Flattery only made Ao feel more uncomfortable, causing him to turn away and give his boyfriend the cold shoulder. But I still want to do something even more special with you. So, why don't we go on a real proper date? Let's create some memories together. The adoration in Hong Yang's eyes was enough to melt Ao's icy exterior. The blue-haired boy grumbled as he knew he had been defeated. Fine. Whatever. What do you want to do? Hong Yang didn't need to think very hard. He'd known Ao for many years and could claim to know him better than he knew himself. Would you like to go to the zoo? We haven't been together, and we can look at all the animals. This idea excited Ao. He loved animals, but he also didn't want to give Hong Yang the satisfaction of knowing how much he liked the idea of going to the zoo. After all, feeding his boyfriend's ego meant the redhead would become overly affectionate again, and every time that happened, Ao felt embarrassed. Whatever you want, I don't care. But of course, Hong Yang knew that the zoo would be the perfect date spot to take Ao. Ooh, they're gonna do something special there? Maybe a little public fun? Of course not. Maybe? Gotcha! Oh god, I hate this. I'm sorry, I hate this music. I've heard this music so many times. In YouTube. I heard this in YouTube videos? Because it's some kind of free music of some sort. I feel like I've heard this music way too much and it's... Oh, it feels bad. The weather was perfect on a Sunday. It's really cursed. It's cursed to me at this point. Okay, but anyway, we're at the zoo. Meerkat. Don't let the name fool you. Meerkats are actually part of the mongoose family. Like other mongooses, they are immune to some snake venoms and have evolved to deal with the venom in scorpions. And meerkat, lions, butterfly house, reptile house. Okay. The two boys caught the train into the city before hopping onto the 58 tram and stopping right outside the zoo's entrance. Imagine having good public transit. I can't imagine. Can't imagine. It's like never in America. It had been years since either of the two had visited the zoo, the last time being a primary school excursion back in grade 4 or 5. Although they had attended the same primary school, they were never in the same class and did not hang out with the same groups of people. Hong Yang has always been well liked. He was smart and athletic and eventually went on to be the school captain in grade 6. Ao, on the other hand, was socially awkward and didn't have many friends. Even the people he thought were his friends turned out to just be using him or were with him out of pity. What is this sad backstory we're just unloading right now? Yeah, he always gets used, abused, pumped and dumped, you know? It's his life. Moving next door to Hong Yang and becoming closer could arguably have been the linchpin to Ao developing the confidence that he now had in himself, or to whatever little degree of self-confidence he could claim to have. We made it! Hong Yang checked the time on his phone. 11 a.m. Right on time. The boy was meticulously organized, having planned their date down to the minute. He made sure to set 2 alarms this morning, one for himself and one to remind him to wake Ao up. To his surprise, when he went next door at 8:30 in the morning, Ao had already been awake for the past hour. I always get up early to take the dogs for a walk. Why are you so surprised? In truth, Hong Yang had hoped that Ao would have been awake all night, nervously thinking about their date, and as a result, have slept in. He wanted to sneak into his boyfriend's room and give him a wake-up gift. Oh, non-consensual activity! Hong Yang! I'm just hyper-aware of Hong Yang's behavior. It's not okay, Hong Yang. Have you guys even kissed before? Have they? I'm not sure. But alas, his hopes and dreams were crushed. Because of all the times Ao had thought the two had been going on dates, he had gotten accustomed to the nights before, and no longer felt nervous, even if this was going to be their first real date. There's quite a few things for us to see. Hangyang unfolded a brochure he picked up from the front gate to reveal a map of the zoo. I looked up the map online yesterday, so I have a pretty good idea of where everything is already. The meerkats are nearby, but I know you'll probably want to see the lions first. There's the butterfly house too. That might be good. Standing about an arm's length away, Ao quietly watched his boyfriend list through all the different exhibits that they could visit. He always thought of Han Yang as the type of guy that liked to be in control, so he suspected the redhead had already set out a path for them to follow. Han Yang finally glanced up from the brochure and turned his attention to his boyfriend when he realized how quiet Ao had been. Where would you like to go first, Ao? You're letting me decide? You see, Ao is never allowed to decide things himself. Manipulation on the part of Han Yang. Just... Do you want me to pick? That's not... I just thought you would have already planned a route for us to take, right down to the amount of steps and number of minutes. Han Yang arched his eyebrow. I'm not that extreme, aren't you? Gaslighting? Is Han Yang gaslighting? Am I? Ao didn't even bother hiding his snicker. Well, so what if I am? Oh, well, just being openly, abusive. I figured I should let you decide where we go today, since it was my idea to come to the zoo in the first place. Huh, fine. In that case... I want to see the monkeys, but fine, I'll see the meerkats. I love monkeys, guys. I was just thinking yesterday, or a few days ago, you never really see furry porn of monkeys. Or apes, right? Am I crazy? I don't really see it very often, at all even. I was just thinking, do furries not like apes and monkeys? That's just food for thought, okay? That's not why I like monkeys, or apes and whatnot. I just like them. They're cute. That's all. Anyway, what am I talking about? You do know that meerkats are not a type of cat, right? I know that. I'm not an idiot. The older male chuckled. Alright, let's go. Han Yang guided Ao to the meerkats. The enclosure was on the smaller side compared to some of the others, only being roughly 10 to 15 square meters in size. A concrete wall reaching up to their waist in height surrounded the enclosure, making it possible to lean over and view inside. There were large rocks and logs along with plenty of plants for the meerkats to interact with. I don't even know what a meerkat looks like. Oh, they're pretty cute, aren't they? Han Yang rested his arms on the wall as he watched one of the meerkats stand up and look around. A few others were burrowing around in the dirt behind. They're more similar to dogs than cats. Ao found one of the plaques with a fun fact on it and began reading out loud. Ugh, I shouldn't have read that earlier. Don't let the name fool you. Meerkats are actually part of the mongoose family. Like other mongooses, they're immune to some snake venoms and have evolved to deal with the venom in scorpions. Oh, that's pretty interesting. They're total baddies. You don't want to F with them. Ao, language. Kuro's trying to get monetized out here, which I actually did yesterday again, after they... Because, like, 2 months ago, I applied for monetization, again, after they demonetized me, and they were like, no, we're not applying, they're not allowing you to be remonetized. You think about what you've done. And I'm like, I don't know what I did. Anyway, I reapplied again just a couple days ago, and they reapproved it again. So, I can't wait to get demonetized in 1 more month. Because that's what they've been doing. Ao didn't always swear. He developed it as a means for coping with his awkwardness, being influenced by his mother's boyfriend, Frank. Frank? Wait, Ao's mother's boyfriend, Frank? I don't like this. Frank was a true blue Aussie. That sounds awful. Is that like a true red-blooded American? Because if it's similar, I feel so sorry for you. It wouldn't be unusual for him to drop the occasional F-bomb, even when it came to small things. From stubbing his toe against the door to complimenting Al's mom and how great her cooking was. As a child with a mostly absent father, Ao took to Frank quickly as the man seemed to really love his mother and treat her with the kind of respect he had always wished for her. As a little child, you're always just wishing, Boy, no, when he was a child, he still spoke like this. Boy, I really hope one day a man treats my mother with the respect she deserves. That's what he always wished. He didn't care how much of a foul mouth the man had. Han Yang, on the other hand, was raised to be respectable. Any swearing or talking back to his mother would result in a quick slap across the head. Damn straight, he's got that Chinese blood in him. His mother's a tiger mum. To avoid any scolding or punishment, Han Yang grew into a strict and responsible young man. But you're right, I wouldn't want to F with them. I feel so naughty. But he knew he could let loose and be a little childish when he was with Ao. F yeah. So, where do you want to go next? Let's visit the lions then. The lions, duh. Although his house was full of various animals, dogs, fish, and birds, Ao's favorite had always been his pet cat Noah. The orange tabby was only a kitten when Ao and his mum found him. The two had been walking their dogs when they stumbled across the poor thing stuck in a pond. They rescued the tiny kitten and raised it together, with all the other animals in their house. Now Noah the cat thought and behaved like a playful dog. Ao loved his cat, and his affection extended to all animals, especially felines. He likes cat boys, is what I just heard from that. I figured you would say that. Okay, let's go. The two made their way towards the lion enclosure. Following a concrete path which led up to a thick glass viewing area, the lions could be seen scattered through the enclosure, lazily sunbathing. One male sat comfortably close to the glass, watching the audience bask in his magnificence. Ao would soon become part of the crowd as he walked right up to the glass, so close that his nose was almost pressed against it. Cool. He contained his excitement and fear of making a fool of himself. Which is cooler, the lion or me? Ao chose only to scoff instead of answering, knowing that by ignoring him, Han Yang's ego would be bruised. Well, Ao? Ao continued to ignore his boyfriend as he read the small pack with fun facts about the lions on it. A male lion's mane can grow as much as 16 centimeters in length, and it's a sign of dominance. As they get older, their manes grow darker in color. Should I let my hair go back to black? Oh, Jesus. He's dead. He's dead, Han Yang. You knocked him down. He hit his head on the stone barrier. His skull is cracked open. He's bleeding out. He's going to be a vegetable for the rest of his life. Okay, you've done this. No. Ao hadn't intended on answering, but he really did like Han Yang's red hair. The first time Han Yang had dyed it was back in year 8 in an attempt to gain popularity. Year 8. As in the 8th grade? I'm assuming that doesn't mean when he was 8 years old. It worked. When Ao saw it, he couldn't admit that it really did make Han Yang look very cool. He was able to quickly convince Han Yang to help him dye his own hair blue, thinking it would also make him look cool. It did. No, why not? The redhead had a gleeful smile on his face, hoping his boyfriend would say something along the lines of, I like you better with red hair. That would have been the truth. But instead, he was answered with, it doesn't suit your stupid face. I should have guessed you'd say something like that. Ao was really fond of Han Yang, but he knew saying affectionate words would lead to affectionate gestures, and he didn't feel comfortable with that, especially out in public. They had grown up talking to each other in this manner, and now that they were dating, it was difficult for Ao to suddenly change the way he spoke. Besides, red hair suits you. But he did try from time to time to let Han Yang know that he wasn't entirely hated. Thanks, Ao.
I'll keep dyeing it red for you then.
Whatever, I don't care. Let's just go to the next exhibit.
Where do you want to go next?
Well, there's only one place left, you idiots. Let's check out the butterfly house.
Hong Yang looked at Ao with a puzzled smile.
Really? You want to see the butterflies?
He did not think Ao had an interest in insects.
Do you have a problem with that?
No, I'm just surprised. Let's go check them out.
They followed the map along a winding trail, which eventually led up to a large glass house with multiple doors that needed to be passed in order to enter.
It's to keep the butterflies in and everything else out.
How does that work?
How does what work? It's an enclosure.
We enter through the first door, making sure nothing gets in, like a bird or whatever, and then we open the second door to see the butterflies. And ordinarily, I wouldn't really have to explain that to you out loud because you would actually be walking through the doors yourself, but this is a visual novel, and this part wasn't drawn, so I just have to sort of explain it to the audience.
Oh, that's cool. Upon entering the building, a slight gust of hot air wafted past them. The butterfly house, being made of glass, maintained higher temperatures than outside. Or higher temperatures inside than outside.
Ugh, it's hot.
It is.
Why did you make me bring this extra shirt?
Ao pointed to the red plaid shirt tied around his waist. It belonged to Hong Yang, who had insisted that Ao wear it in case the weather dropped that day. Ao had always been better at dealing with colder temperatures than Hong Yang, although the latter would still act like a concerned parent and insist that Ao take a spare shirt or jacket with him everywhere they went, even to school.
It'll get chillier later tonight. Just keep it for now.
The spectacled? The spectacled boy groaned in defiance. I'm sorry about that. I couldn't pronounce spectacled for a moment, but kept his hands on the knot he tied around his waist with the sleeves to ensure the shirt was safely secured. Inside, they were greeted by a sea of butterflies, each brightly colored and varying in size. Ugh. One tried to approach Ao suddenly, which resulted in the boy smacking it in midair. Damn, girl, you're not supposed to be murdering the butterflies.
Ow! I mean, Ao! I was so surprised I said your name wrong. What are you doing?
It came right at me.
It's a butterfly. You can't seriously be trying to pick a fight with a butterfly.
It wasn't.
Hong Yang felt a mixture of embarrassment from his partner's actions, but he also couldn't help but smile at how silly Ao was being. We're gonna get kicked out of this zoo.
Ugh.
He hadn't noticed, but as Ao had been trying to calm himself down, a butterfly with red and white wings decided to perch itself on Ao's head. Hong Yang found the sight quite beautiful. In fact, he thought Ao was quite a beautiful person. His flowing long hair and clear skin, wish I had flowing long hair. I wish I had beautiful skin. Now that I really don't have. My skin is so blotchy and riddled with scars and pimples and whatnot. Made him look prettier than any girl. Not prettier than a girl. I hate that as a compliment. That is the worst compliment you can ever give someone. Just period. I'm sorry. I hate it. It makes me feel disgusting. Hong Yang could not think of... prettier than any girl Hong Yang could think of. But his sharp brown eyes and toned physique also made him quite handsome in Hong Yang's eyes. Like, I just don't need to be compared to a woman, you know? It's like, that's just not... I don't want to be inviting that comparison. What? Ao had noticed that Hong Yang had been staring for some time.
What are you looking at?
Hong Yang smiled sincerely.
How gorgeous you are.
This made Ao blush redder than the butterfly on top of him.
Shut the F up.
Ao pushed past Hong Yang and made his way to the fun fact plaque. He read it with a particularly aggressive tone.
The red lacing butterfly can be found in North Queensland. They are the only butterfly in Australia to be predominantly bright red, with its caterpillars also brightly colored in yellow and black stripes.
Once he had finished reading, the butterfly fluttered its wings and left Ao's head.
What now?
Nothing at all.
Where do you want to... Oops.
Where do you want to go next, Ao?
Oi, show me the map.
Can you ask more nicely?
No.
Hong Yang rolled his eyes but still handed his boyfriend the paper brochure.
Thanks.
Unfolding the brochure and having a quick scan, Ao pointed to a location on the map and showed it to Hong Yang.
You want to go here?
I hope it's the monkeys, for purely platonic reasons. I also heard a news story about some woman recently who was she in Australia? I think she was an Aussie. She might have been an Aussie. She might have also been British. I think she was an Aussie though. She got banned from a zoo because she was having an affair with a monkey. Excuse me, it was an ape, not a monkey. And I was just like, that could be me. She wasn't, you know, having physical relations with the ape, but she had a strong companionship with it, and she got banned from the zoo for it. And I was like, that might be me in the future when I'm older. Anyway, I hope it's the monkeys, for purely platonic reasons. The redhead leaned over his boyfriend's shoulder and his eyes followed Ao's finger. The spectacled boy was pointing at a picture of a lizard on the map. Aw, the writing printed above his finger read reptile house. Well, I should have known. The reptile house is right there. Where's our primate exhibit?
Oh, you want to see the reptiles?
Do you?
I don't mind.
His blasé response annoyed Ao, causing the younger of the two to furrow his brow and pout.
Hong Yang, you've been making me decide where we go all day. Why don't you pick something?
I honestly don't mind.
That. I know you can be... I know this is you being considerate, but you know I don't. I can't understand what you want unless you tell me.
This is a date, so...
Whoops, this is a date, so you should have a say too, right?
Reading people was never something Ao was good at, but he could at least rely on Hong Yang to always be honest with him.
Are you trying to be considerate of me?
I'm trying.
Ao?
Hong Yang wanted to wrap his arms around his boyfriend, but knew that the blue-haired wouldn't like it in public. He still has a lot of internalized homophobia. On the best days, he would even resist in private. The way this is phrased, again, creeper Hong Yang vibes. The way he would resist in private, it's like he's putting his hands on Ao, and Ao's like, on Ao, and Ao's like, stop it. And he just keeps going. So instead, Hong Yang settled for a gentle, reassuring tap on the shoulder.
Let's go to the reptile house. It'll be dark inside. So, what I want is...
Ooh, I knew they were going to be up to something. He cupped his free hand against his lips before leaning in and whispering.
I want to kiss you.
Is what he wanted to say, but he knew the suggestion would be outright rejected when out in the public, so instead... To hold hands? Uh-oh. That's even worse. This is why I get demonetized, because these bees are always holding hands in my yaoi novels. That's why I get demonetized. Ugh. Salacious. Hot red flushes spread throughout Ao's body in an instant. He took a step back whilst pushing his boyfriend away.
Not in public.
We're just holding hands, and it'll be dark.
Come on. You have to be Pride. You have to. It's Pride Month. Wait, it's not Pride Month. Jesus Christ, I can't keep track of what month it is. I literally thought it was Pride Month for a moment. I'm not good with remembering time. But Ao, you have to be prideful at some point. You can't go through your whole life being ashamed of who you are.
Grr, someone could still see us.
Hong Yang figured this would happen. Neither of the two grew up with parents that were big on public displays of affection. Hong Yang rarely ever saw his parents hug each other or even be in the same room. The two had married out of convenience, and although the two had some kind of respect for one another, love was not something that they shared. Ao's parents married into a shotgun marriage, and signs of resentment had always been evident in the way they treated each other. Any hint of love they once had for one another was long gone by the time Ao was born. They divorced when he was young, and when Ao's mom began dating her coworker Frank, she was still cautious about even holding hands in front of her one and only child. But Frank was the affectionate type, the type to scream "I love yous" from the rooftops, something Hong Yang had witnessed Frank do on more than one occasion. The first time Ao saw the two of them kiss, he was embarrassed and shocked. Not used to seeing his mother in that sort of situation, he then proceeded to make a big deal out of it, which made everyone uncomfortable. As the two boys grew up, Ao's overall discomfort for PDA grew, whereas for Hong Yang, his curiosity and hunger for affection grew with him. Horny! Hong Yang wanted to show Ao how much he meant to him, but Ao didn't want the rest of the world to see it too.
Alright, we don't need to hold hands, but are we still going to the reptile house?
He soon surrendered, knowing that pressuring Ao wouldn't get him the results he wanted. Sure. Instead, Hong Yang had a strategy for getting what he wanted out of Ao, which involved a little bit of manipulation and a lot of waving his hands about to get Ao's attention. He was a devilishly cunning man. The music stopped because it should stop. This isn't casual anymore. This isn't casual story time on YouTube anymore. There is about to be a crime committed. Oh god. I'm afraid. Like Hong Yang had said, the reptile house was dark. There were no windows whatsoever, meaning that the only heated lamp lights from each individual reptile box lit the way. The two stopped in front of the glass viewing window in the corner of the building. Inside was a large, stripy, four-legged creature bathing under the heat lamp. Hong Yang pointed to the information plaque beside them, running his fingers along the words as Ao read them out loud. The blue-tongued lizard is one of the largest skinks, I guess. One of the largest skinks in Australia. The sudden flashing of its bright blue tongue is dematic behavior, used to distract predators such as hawks or eagles before being eaten.
That's a new word. Dematic?
I know this one. We learned this in biology. It's like something that an animal does to shock or stun its predator to give it time to escape.
Oh, how interesting. Oh god. It's quite ironic that you should bring that up now, because I have a stun gun right here. Why do you think I brought you into this dark and closed space, Hong Yang? I mean, why do you think I brought you into this dark and closed space, Ao? I plan to have my way with you.
Oh god. Raising his hands to his mouth, Hong Yang stuck out his tongue and used his thumb to pull down his lower lip.
Maybe I should get a tongue piercing. That would shock people.
F no.
The comment indeed shocked Ao, his brown eyes widening in the dark.
Excuse me?
No, don't get a tongue piercing.
Okay, calm down, Ao. Why are you so against it?
Far from being inexperienced, the two had kissed on multiple occasions, but every time Hong Yang had been the one to initiate, obviously. The older male was an aggressive kisser, obviously, often using his tongue to invade Ao's mouth and send shivers down his spine. The spectacled boy... Why am I literally having to take 20 seconds to remind myself how to say spectacled every time it comes up? The spectacled boy didn't want to admit that the thought of Hong Yang having a metal rod in his mouth while kissing was too much for him to handle.
Just don't, alright?
Confused but compliant, Hong Yang raised both hands and surrendered. Tongue piercings are frightening. Like, I can't even imagine. I'd be so just afraid of having it in my mouth all the time. Like, what if I accidentally swallowed it? I mean, I know the chance of that actually happening is probably like none, but it's just the very idea.
Okay, I won't. Wow, you really don't like the idea, do you?
No, I don't.
Ao pushed past Hong Yang as he continued down the corridor, turning to glance at each reptile on exhibit, but not really paying attention to them. His mind was occupied with other thoughts. Not this music again. I wish you could have just R'd him in there and we wouldn't have had to return out here. And he could have gotten arrested or something, because I hate this music so much. On that cloudless day, the bright white sun blinded the two boys as they emerged from the cold and dark building. Hong Yang shielded his eyes with his hands, whereas Ao decided to close his eyes altogether. So bright! As his eyes adjusted to the sunlight, he took the opportunity to check his phone for the time, 12:45. Turning to his boyfriend, Hong Yang tapped on Ao's shoulder to get his attention. Are you hungry? Would you like to eat lunch now? Taking his glasses off so that he could rub his eyes, Ao grunted in response before giving him a proper answer. Sure. He returned his spectacles to his face. Did you make lunch? Tugging at his sling bag to lift it up, Hong Yang smiled proudly as he spoke. Of course, we're having fried chicken sandwiches with lettuce and sweet chili mayo. I also brought a thermos with hot tea and made a fruit salad to go with our meal. It was at times like these that Ao really appreciated Hong Yang. Awesome. Using the map to guide them to a seating area with rectangular tables and benches, the two boys are fortunate to find one that hadn't already been occupied by a family or another couple. They sat across from each other, with Hong Yang unloading his packed lunch in the middle of the table. A black container with sandwiches inside a smaller red container with chopped up pieces of fruit, and of course a blue, insulated thermos filled with hot jasmine tea. He also took out a fork and napkins from his bag. If Hong Yang was anything, it was organized. Dig in. He offered the first bite to Ao. Itadakimasu. The blue-haired boy went straight for the sandwich, biting into it right after speaking. Ah, oishii desu. Ume. As he ate, Hong Yang carefully opened the thermos and poured some of the amber liquid into the cup. Nomi, how do you say drink in Japanese? Is it nomi maru? Nomi mas? Something like that. I know eating is tabemas. Whatever. Here. He handed the beverage over to Ao. Thanks. As the younger male happily ate, Hong Yang was content just to watch the little twitch of a smile that formed in Ao's face as he chewed. To Hong Yang, it was incredibly cute. But he was hungry too, so he opened the red container and stabbed a couple of pieces of banana. As the two boys ate in silence, Hong Yang couldn't help but notice the other people around them. Aside from the families, there were also a few couples walking up and about. His eyes landed on a man and a woman, perhaps in their mid-20s, arms linked and bodies pressed right up against each other as they walked along the path pointing at a flock of pigeons nearby. He let his gaze linger for longer than needed. He had already stopped thinking about the couple and was already daydreaming, getting closer to Ao. The redhead really did want to be more physical with his partner. The warmth of his touch extended beyond just his skin. It filled Hong Yang with a sense of elation and joy. But he believed that the warmth was felt only by him, as Ao would often act cold whenever Hong Yang pushed too far. He knew he had to respect his boyfriend's boundaries, so I guess R isn't on the table. Even if he really wanted to cross sometimes. It's so hard dating Ao. I can't help but dream and fantasize about R-ing him. But you know, I just try to restrain myself. It isn't easy. I'm a saint, really. Oi! The sudden call for attention surprised Hong Yang. His eyes darted away from the couple back to Ao, seeing the spectacled boy glaring with a sharp look in his eyes. Hong Yang wondered if he had done something to upset him. Or perhaps Ao noticed him staring at the couple and felt a tinge of guilt for rejecting his proposal to hold hands. He really hoped it was the latter. Yes, Ao? Arm wrestle with me. Once again, he was surprised. Excuse me? Just do it. Placing his sandwich back into the container and moving everything to the side, Ao rested his right elbow on the metal table between them and showed Hong Yang a determined glare.
You're so demanding.
Hong Yang was confused, but he complied and rolled up his sleeves before mimicking his boyfriend's stance. The two grabbed hands and got ready.
On the count of 3. 1.
Sure, but why do you suddenly want to arm wrestle? 2.
As AL answered, his face turned a noticeable shade of pink.
You said you wanted to hold hands before. It's kind of embarrassing to just do that in public. But if I use this as an excuse, then it won't look so weird. I won't mind as much this way, so deep in the closet.
A sense of joy pierced through Hong Yang's heart. He was weak to Ao's moments of consideration and affection. It was times like these that made him fall in love all over again.
3.
The table shook with a bang as Ao slammed Hong Yang's whole arm down. Did you break the table?
Ah!
He felt the pain shoot right up his arm and replace the joy that was previously occupying his heart.
I win.
Ow, you tricked me.
I didn't trick you, I meant it.
I don't believe you. I feel like an idiot for being happy when you said those sweet things just now. I demand a rematch.
Fine, bring it on, effer.
What a great relationship. It took them a little longer than usual to finish their lunch, but at the end of the day, the two were evenly matched, both winning 2 rounds, each with the last one ending in a draw as they tired themselves out. They took the train back home. Along the way, Ao fell asleep and hung on Hong Yang's shoulder, a rare occurrence. He had exhausted himself both physically and emotionally, knowing full well that he overreacted at times, especially when it came to Hong Yang. He sometimes wondered why someone as amazing as Hong Yang would ever want to date someone as awkward as himself, a thought that often ran through his head. But then the redhead would suggest something crazy like getting a tongue piercing, and Ao would remember that he has always thought of Hong Yang as an intelligent idiot. Trying his best not to wake his sleeping beauty, Hong Yang managed to take a sneaky photo of Ao as the younger male began snoring softly. He promptly saved the memory as his wallpaper. He rubbed the tender part of his knuckles that were a little bruised from when Ao showed him no mercy during their arm wrestle matches. Well, this is nice. It's like one of them emotionally and sexually abuses the other, and then one of them physically abuses, the other, Although the date didn't go exactly as planned, Hong Yang knew that whenever it came to Ao, this was going to be the case. He liked being in control, but sometimes he enjoyed watching Ao do things out of his expectations. In the end, both Hong Yang and Ao would consider their first date a great success. Hell yeah. Writer, Red Sean. Editor, Allison Drizalian Huang. I can't pronounce that properly. Anyway, very cute game. And, it's starting to get dark out here. My camera looks probably a little bit darker than usual, but whatever. I love this cute art at the end here. Obviously, it's in a totally different style. I wonder who did it. I probably missed it when I was scrolling through the credits. But very cute. I love the blushing. And yeah, that's I love it. I love this. But this was a very cute game overall. I always love whatever. Ah! I saw my name on there. Ooh, oh, okay. Well, we're not 100% done. I guess I've provided a lot of, what's the word for it? I can't think of the proper word for it because I'm stupid. But like good emotions, good feelings. I've positive vibes. That's what I've been doing. I've sent a lot of positive vibes Red Sean's way, and they like it, so I get in the credits. Yeah. I was integral to this game's completion. You're welcome. Anyway, what was I doing for him? Was I doing the annoying voice for him, the nasally voice? Is that really a nasally voice? It's an annoying voice anyway. MC, good morning. And, what was I doing for her? I guess just the general girl voice.
Oh, hi, Goom.
Grr. What's going on with those two?
Ao and Han Yang?
Oh, I'm afraid that's not high enough. I haven't done a girl voice in a while.
I can do this all day, Ao.
See, I sound just like Hong Yang.
Me too, a-hole.
Language. I don't know how it started, but they've been arm wrestling all morning.
Really? And who's winning?
Emily carefully considered the scenario, crossing her arms in front of her chest before coming to a conclusion.
I think they're both winners in this instance.
Aww. Until next time. Well, I can't wait until next time, because I'm always happy to play one of Red Sean's games, which is what I was saying as I got so rudely interrupted by the post-credit scene. But, again, I do love this thing in the title screen. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. And look forward to more yaoi games from the Yaoi Game Jam. Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I hope this Game Jam is as good as the last one. The last one was, oh my god, do you guys remember La Vie and Rose? Definitely. God, that feels like it was just yesterday. It feels like that was 4 months ago. Anyway.